In 2008, real estate crashed 27% nationally. Millions of people lost their homes, their savings, their retirement. Everything they built, gone. Meanwhile, gold went up 24% that same year. Fast forward to the last year, 2025, gold just hit a record $3,300 per ounce, up 25% in a single year, beating almost every other investment on the planet. So the question is, should you have been buying gold this whole time, or is real estate still the smarter long-term play? The answer isn't what most people expect, and it depends entirely on what you're actually trying to protect. Because gold and real estate aren't really competing for the same job. They do fundamentally different things. And once you understand that, this debate stops being a debate and starts being a strategy. Hi, I'm Rishi, and today we're going deep on two of the oldest wealth-building assets in human history, gold versus real estate. Not to pick a winner, but to understand what each one actually does for your money. Because in 2025, with markets uncertain, inflation memories still fresh, and real estate prices near all-time highs, this question matters more than ever. Let's get into it. Number 1. What gold actually is. Let's start here, because most people have an emotional relationship with gold. They either love it or dismiss it, and both reactions miss the point. Gold is not a growth asset. Let's say that clearly. It doesn't build factories. It doesn't generate rent. It doesn't pay dividends. It just sits there, shiny, finite, universally recognized for over 5,000 years, and that is precisely its power. Gold's job isn't to make you rich. Gold's job is to make sure you don't get poor. It's a store of value, a hedge against the thing that quietly destroys wealth for most people: inflation, currency debasement, systemic economic collapse. Think about this for a second. In 1971, when the US dollar officially left the gold standard, gold was priced at $35 per ounce. Today, it's over $3,300. That's not gold getting more valuable. That's the dollar getting weaker, and gold simply reflecting that reality. From 1971 through 2025, gold has returned approximately 8% annually in nominal terms, which roughly matches inflation plus a modest real return. But here's where it gets interesting. In certain periods, gold doesn't just keep pace, it explodes. During the high inflation 1970s, gold went from $35 per ounce to $850 by 1980, a staggering 2,329% gain in a single decade. During the 2008 financial crisis, while everything else was burning, gold climbed steadily. And in 2024 alone, gold delivered a 27% return, beating the S&P 500, which almost never happens. And in 2025, year to date, gold is up another 25%. Number 2. What real estate actually is. Now, real estate. And this is where the comparison fundamentally changes. Real estate is an income-generating, leverageable, improvable, tangible asset. Those words matter. Let's take them one at a time. Income-generating. A property produces rent every single month, whether markets are up or down, whether inflation is high or low. Rent comes in. That cash flow is something gold simply cannot offer. Leverageable. You can buy a $300,000 property with $60,000 and control the full asset, the appreciation, the income, all of it on a fraction of the total price. Gold doesn't work that way. $60,000 in gold gets you $60,000 worth of gold, nothing more. Improvable. You can renovate a property and force appreciation, new kitchen, new bathroom, better landscaping, real decisions that add real value. Gold just sits in a vault. You cannot improve it. You cannot force it to be worth more through effort. And tangible. Like gold, real estate is real. You can touch it, stand in it, live in it, use it. According to the Federal Housing Finance Agency, U.S. home prices have appreciated at roughly 4.2% annually from 1991 through 2023. That's just price appreciation. Add rental income, add the power of leverage, and the NCREIF Property Index, which tracks institutional real estate, shows a 10-year annualized return of around 8.1%, beating gold over that same period, with less volatility and far more income along the way.
Number 3, the 2008 lesson and why it cuts both ways. Let's go back to 2008, because that moment reveals something important about both assets. Real estate crashed 27% nationally. Some markets lost 40, 50, even 60% of their value. People who bought at the peak, with too much leverage, in the wrong markets, were devastated. Meanwhile, gold surged. Clear winner in a crisis, right? But here's what that story leaves out. People who bought real estate in solid markets before the crisis and held through it recovered fully by 2016 to 2017 and continued appreciating from there. The median home price today is around $429,000, up dramatically from pre-crisis levels. And the entire time, rental income kept coming in. The crisis didn't stop the rent. It slowed it, sometimes disrupted it, but the income didn't disappear the way paper portfolio values did. Gold's lesson from 2008 is real. It protects you when systems break down. Real estate's lesson from 2008 is equally real. Leverage and timing matter enormously. The asset itself wasn't the problem. Overextended borrowing was. Number 4, the psychology of each asset. Here's something worth understanding. Gold and real estate don't just perform differently. They feel different, and that matters for how you actually behave as an investor. Gold is invisible wealth. You don't drive past it. You don't show it at dinner. Except for jewelry, most people never even see their gold investment, which actually helps in some ways because you can't panic sell something you forget you own. Gold's quiet, passive nature keeps emotional decisions low. You buy it, you hold it, you barely think about it. Real estate is visible wealth. You see it, you maintain it, you feel it, and that visibility cuts both ways. When your property gains value, the pride is real. But when something breaks at 11 p.m. on a Friday, that's real too. There's also something called the endowment effect, a psychological principle where people assign more value to things they own and feel responsible for. Real estate investors tend to hold through downturns more confidently because they feel a sense of ownership and control. They can do something, fix something, improve something, refinance. Gold investors sometimes struggle in the flat years, when gold just sits there doing nothing visible and everything else seems to be growing. That patience gets tested. Both assets require a long-term mindset, but they test that mindset in very different ways. Number 5, the real numbers, side by side. Let's put some actual math on this. You have $100,000 to invest. Option 1, you put it all into gold. Over the last 25 years, gold has returned approximately 9 to 10% annually. Your $100,000 grows to roughly $860,000 to $1 million. No tenants, no maintenance, no stress, just patient holding. Option 2, you use that $100,000 as a down payment on a $500,000 rental property. At 4% annual appreciation, that property is worth around $1.33 million after 25 years. Plus, you collected rent the entire time. Even at modest cash flow of $500 a month net after expenses, that's $150,000 in rental income over 25 years. Total value created over $1.4 million from the same $100,000. On paper, real estate wins significantly. But here's the honest caveat. That real estate scenario required management, maintenance costs, vacancy periods, tenant issues, property taxes. The gold scenario required nothing, just patience. And if you're the kind of person who genuinely won't deal with the complexity of property ownership, a smaller but stress-free return on gold beats a theoretically higher return on real estate that you mismanage.
When gold makes more sense. Gold makes genuine sense in specific situations when you're worried about inflation or currency debasement. Gold has a multi-thousand-year track record of preserving purchasing power. No fiat currency in history has survived indefinitely. Gold has. When you want true liquidity, you can sell gold anywhere in the world, instantly, without inspections, without agents, without waiting 60 days for a closing. When you want simplicity, no tenants, no maintenance, no local market research, just one globally recognized asset. When you're diversifying, most financial advisors suggest keeping 5 to 10% of your portfolio in gold as a hedge against the assets that dominate the rest, not as a primary wealth builder. As insurance. When the world gets unpredictable, and it always does eventually, that insurance pays off. Number 7, when real estate makes more sense. Real estate makes more sense when you want income, cash flow that arrives monthly, regardless of what markets are doing. When you want to use leverage responsibly. Controlling a $500,000 asset with $100,000 down is a wealth-building lever that gold simply doesn't offer. when you're in it for the long term, at least 7 to 10 years, when you have the time and temperament to manage it, or the budget to hire someone who will, when you want tax advantages, depreciation, mortgage interest deductions, 1031 exchanges. Real estate's tax benefits are genuinely significant, and gold offers almost none of that. Number 8, the real answer. So, gold or real estate? Here's the honest answer. If your goal is wealth preservation, protecting what you have from inflation and economic uncertainty, gold does that job quietly and reliably. If your goal is wealth creation, building income, leveraging capital, compounding growth over decades, real estate does that job more powerfully for most people. And if your goal is both, use both. Not equally, but intentionally. Real estate as your primary wealth-building engine, gold as your insurance policy. Think about it this way. You wouldn't use a hammer when you need a screwdriver, not because a hammer is bad, but because it's the wrong tool for the job, and then pick the tool that actually fits. Alright, that's a wrap on this one. If it helped you think about these two assets more clearly, go ahead and subscribe. And if you want to know more about how job hopping or staying put affects the money you'd invest in either of these, the video on job hopping versus staying put is right there on the left. See you in the next one. Take care.